Hello, Grand Admiral Thrawn here. I'm doing yet another commentary for the ongoing Third Age Total War tournament, currently being hosted on the Total War Center forums. This is Game 2 of Round 2, so basically Round 1, if you haven't already seen the videos, they're posted above. This is me playing against Jmonster, who also won his Round 1 games. This is Game 2, actually, of Round 2, and Game 1 is actually being commented by Jmonster over on his channel, so please go check that out if you haven't already. We are actually doing a little Kingslaying here for this game. I'm going to spoil, by the way, what happened in Game 1, so if you haven't seen it, please go see it first. It was actually a lot of fun. It was a really close game, but yeah. So anyways, spoiler alert, I won the first game, and this here's the second game, so if I win this game, I go on to the final match, which would be awesome. He picked the Silvain Elves for his faction, so I decided to counter that by going with the High Elves, just because High Elven archers are good enough to actually compete with Silvain Elven archers. Plus, the High Elves actually have really good heavy cavalry. So, for my army, I went with 2 archers only, actually. Basically, their job is to keep his archers distracted and keep them from killing me and killing my cavalry. I then brought a bunch of infantry, 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7 infantry, including some Smiths of Region, then just some Eldarin Way swordsmen, Eldarin Way, and then Mifflin nobles here, and finally some Eldarin Way spearmen. The spearmen I just brought because they're heavy infantry. I wasn't actually going to use them as counter-cavalry because Silvain Elves basically have no cavalry. I then brought along 2 Imlogis riders, which was actually a bad idea, as you'll see in a minute, but yeah, so they're cavalry archers. And then finally, 2 Eldarin Way Lancers and 1 General units here, like the Eldarin Way Nobles. He, meanwhile, brought a whole bunch of archers here, and so he's basically trying to go defensive on this. He brought along a lot of infantry as well, some spearmen. He actually put his heavy spears in the center here, which is maybe not the best idea because he brought so much cavalry. And then also just woodland warriors, a lot of light spearmen he left in reserve and all for countering my cavalry. And then finally, a bunch of Silvain heavy archers, which actually one thing that he did that was it was a big problem for him. And this is sort of a warning. Like I think this here is his general. When you put your general into a unit that has an ability, like for example, flaming arrows, your general loses the ability to rally troops and instead just has the flaming arrows ability, which is a really big problem if you want to actually use your general to rally your troops, which is really critical in these battles. And he didn't realize that, and so he basically put his general in here with a unit that couldn't actually use the rally ability, so that sort of hurt him in this game. So he moves up his archers to try and fire on me, and so I decided to counter that by basically doing a rush tactic here, just because he has the superior archers, so I need to get engaged really fast before I get wiped out by them. So my heavy cavalry just rides around the edge here. My light cav, meanwhile, rides off this way. Now, one thing that I tried to do here with my light cav is I tried to get them into the Cantabrian circle formation, which is a really nice formation for countering archer fire. Unfortunately, they would not actually go into that formation, so they just get wiped out, as you'll see. So yeah, because basically cavalry archers, they're basically good at killing everything except for archers, and their only defense against them is the Cantabrian circle. But anyways, though, so I open fire with them. I'm not doing much damage because they're hitting from the front, so I try and get them around the side. But by now, he's seen them, and he's just pouring on the archer fire, and as you can see here, they're just getting slaughtered, like, boom. It's a massacre here. And so yeah, here I stop them here to try and get them into circle formation, but it doesn't actually work. Meanwhile, my infantry is moving in close, and my archers are still firing, but yeah. And so I'm losing a lot of troops here against his archer fire, but as soon as I get engaged, he really can't hurt them anymore. So yeah, my cav archers are still getting slaughtered, like they're just basically down to almost nothing. My heavy cav though is moving around the back here, so he's going to try and do what we call the cav dance, which is basically when the spearmen in the rear try and run after the cavalry, which basically rarely works. Yeah, so I'm able to get around his spearmen with my heavy cav here and my Eldarin Way Lancers. He's slaughtering my cav archers here. I tried to get them to circle, but it didn't actually work. So I get a really good rear charge in here and do a lot of damage, and basically, more importantly, stop them from shooting for a while. I take some losses with them, because he manages to get his light spearmen in here behind. But I'm able to pull back pretty easily. But basically by now these guys are all dead. I try and charge them in just to get one last little charge, but look at this here, you see? This here is why it was so useful, because I was able to kill so many of their archers. And so yeah, they charge in, they die, My infantry is holding the line pretty darn well. My Mifflin nobles, for example, are really doing the number on his heavy swordsmen. His woodland warriors are holding okay. Basically, so now I'm just doing my cavalry micromanaging. Like, so yeah, these guys are basically routed by now, yeah. The English riders, they're finally done with. But I'm able to get in a really nice rear charge here on his woodland warriors. Just boom. And the really critical thing here is that he hasn't been focusing on my cavalry, and here, this here is the big mistake. Instead of shooting at my cav, he instead runs after them with his archers. Yeah. So basically I'm doing a lot of damage here. I think that this was probably a micro mistake on his part. I think he was trying to shoot at me, but instead he ran after me, which basically was a big disaster for him because it meant that I was then able to swing around with my cavalry, just turn around and countercharge his archers and get engaged with them in melee combat. So just boom, hit them from the flank, hit them from the front, and basically just I have them completely surrounded here. I mean, they're still doing a good job. I mean, they're tough. Like, Silvain archers are tough. But versus other in my cav, I mean, they don't have many options. Meanwhile, my general is able to go over here and engage his general unit here. And so, yeah, this here is, I believe, his general who's getting attacked. Basically, the important thing here is that his archers are now all out of commission. Yeah, charging here the Elder in my cav again. See, like, yeah, I think, yeah, this was really the critical mistake that he made. He ran after my cavalry with his archers instead of shooting at me. I think that he may have held down the Alt key, because when you do that with archers, they'll run after instead of actually shooting. That or they were out of ammo, but I don't think they were out of ammo this early on. But basically, my infantry is winning the fight, though it's a relatively close one. But basically, my cavalry here is starting to dominate. And so, yeah, and I'm getting some really good rear charges here. This over here, this is just a spectator, by the way. We had a third player spectating the battle. But yeah. So yeah, Jmonster's archers are basically mostly dead now. And he has basically now he has no way to counter my cavalry, especially now that his units are all engaged with mine. So he basically has no defense against my rear charges. And apologies, this is an annoying alarm clock that I have. I'm turning it off. It's so annoying when that happens, but I'm not going to restart because I've already done, like, most of the battle. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, his archers are dying, he's getting rear charged. So basically by now the battle is just about over. I mean, he's still got some light infantry left, like the Silvain spearmen, but that's not really enough. I mean, he doesn't quite have the troops left to be able to fight it out. And finally, his general, he's starting to get still around, but most of his archers are now routing. His general is still alive, technically, but he's only got, like, 7 guys with him. So, yeah, he's going to try and hold out. So, basically, in the end, the second Kinslain, or I think it's the second Kinslain, went quite well for the Noldor, aka the High Elves, and not so well for the Sindar, aka the Woodland Elves. Not to be a complete Tolkien nerd, but basically the Noldor are High Elves, Sindar are Wood Elves, and actually, just sort of a fun fact, remember in The Hobbit when the main lady, what's her face, the badass warrior lady they put in, when she says to Thranduil, the king of the elves, I didn't think that your son would let me marry, I didn't think you'd let Legolas marry a woodland elf. Basically, she's referring there to the fact that Legolas and his dad Thranduil are actually both Noldor or High Elves, and that they rule over the woodland elves. But anyways, though, so his general is still alive, technically, and I actually sort of didn't know that he was there. I forgot that he's still some troops there. So I'm going to turn around and attack here, like my Elder and my Swordsman attack. And, yeah, there's all 3 of them left. So they're doing some damage. Whoa! Check that out! Harlem shaking Elven dude, and now he's Jesus into the ground. Well, that was awesome. Well, unfortunately, the Harlem shaking dude is not, is dead now. But oh well. So yeah, they admit defeat, and the game is mine. And yeah, good game, really good game to Jmonster. He did a great job this tournament and all that. I will be advancing into the final round, which should take place hopefully soon over the weekend. And yeah, great game. And if you have any interest in this sort of thing, please do check out our forum. We are going to be having Season 2 after this, and so yeah, come check us out. Season 2, I will probably actually take on the role as like a backup player, so in case somebody has to drop out. and instead be more of an administrator trying to organize things. That can be kind of a full-time thing. But yeah, please come check it out. We have prizes for every level of victory you can achieve, like for round 1 victors, round 2 victors. So yeah, hope to see you there. Signing off.